The used Liberty moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Its engines hummed quietly as the ship searched for new planets and solar systems. Lieutenant Commander Katie Martinez stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the big front window. She was small, only 5 feet 4 inches tall, with short black hair and dark eyes. Her uniform was clean and pressed, with engineer patches on the sleeves. "Commander Martinez, we're getting strange readings from the next system," said Ensign Lisa Ward from her station. Lisa was young, maybe 22, with blonde hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. She had just graduated from the academy 6 months ago. Katie walked over to look at Lisa's screen. The numbers were jumping around in ways that made no sense. "What kind of readings?" "Energy signatures. Really big ones. Like nothing I've ever seen before," Lisa said. Her voice shook a little. "Should I tell the captain?" Before Katie could answer, Captain John Hayes walked onto the bridge. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had been in space for 20 years and had seen many strange things. "What's the problem?" Katie pointed to the screen. "Sir, we're picking up massive energy readings from the Kepler 442 system. The computer can't identify what's causing them." Captain Hayes looked at the numbers. His face grew serious. "How massive?" "Bigger than our entire fleet back on Earth, sir," Lisa said quietly. The captain was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Set course for the system. We need to investigate. But keep us at maximum sensor range. If there's something dangerous out there, I want to know about it before it knows about us." The Liberty changed direction and began moving toward the strange signals. Katie felt her stomach twist with worry. In all her years as an engineer, she had never seen energy readings like these. Whatever was out there was using technology far beyond anything humans had built. 2 hours later, they reached the edge of the system. What they saw made everyone on the bridge go silent. Hundreds of ships floated in space around the system's main star. The ships were long and thin, like giant needles made of silver metal. Each one was at least twice the size of the Liberty. Strange lights pulsed along their sides in patterns that hurt to look at. "My God," Captain Hayes whispered. "How many ships are there?" "Computer says 437, sir," Danny Chun said from the communication station. Danny was a thin young man with nervous hands. He had been trying to contact the alien ships for the past hour, but they weren't answering. "Any response to our signals?" the captain asked. "Nothing, sir. They're not even acknowledging that we exist." Katie studied the alien ships through the main viewer. They were beautiful in a cold, deadly way. She could see weapons ports along their sides and strange energy fields surrounding each ship. "Captain, I don't think we should be here. Those ships could destroy us without even trying." Captain Hayes nodded. "You're right." Lisa, prepared to jump back to. Suddenly, every screen on the bridge turned bright red. Alarms started screaming. The Liberty shook as if something huge had grabbed it and was shaking it like a toy. "What's happening?" the captain shouted over the noise. "They've got us in some kind of tractor beam," Katie said, reading her instruments. "It's pulling us toward their fleet." Danny's face was white with fear. "Sir, I'm getting a transmission. It's coming through on all frequencies." "Put it on the main screen." The image that appeared made everyone step back. The alien was tall, maybe 8 feet, with a body that looked like it was made of blue crystal. It had 4 arms and a face that was sharp and angular. When it spoke, its voice sounded like breaking glass. "Primitive mammals," the alien said. "You have entered Zephyrian space without permission. You will surrender your vessel and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in immediate destruction." Captain Hayes stepped forward. "This is Captain John Hayes of the United Earth ship Liberty. We come in peace. We didn't know this was your territory. We're explorers, not soldiers." The alien's face showed something that might have been amusement. "Peace, a concept for weak species. You will be taken as specimens. Your vessel will be studied. Your people will serve the collective." The transmission ended. Katie felt ice in her stomach. These aliens weren't interested in talking. They saw humans as animals to be captured and studied. "All hands, battle stations," Captain Hayes ordered. "This is not a drill." The Liberty's crew ran to their positions. Katie headed for the engineering section, but she didn't make it far. The ship shook again, and this time she heard the sound of metal being cut. The aliens were boarding. She ran back toward the bridge, but the corridor was full of smoke. Emergency lights flashed red. She could hear the sound of energy weapons firing and people screaming. Through the smoke, she saw shapes moving. The aliens were already inside the ship. One of them appeared in front of her. Up close, it was even more frightening. Its crystal skin reflected the emergency lights, and its 4 arms each held a different weapon. It looked down at Katie with eyes that glowed like blue fire. "A spawn female," it said in perfect English. How amusing. The mammals send their young to fight wars. Katie had been in the military for 8 years. She had fought in 3 wars on Earth. She had killed men with her bare hands and blown up buildings with homemade bombs. But this alien saw only a small woman in a clean uniform. "Please," she said, making her voice sound scared, "don't hurt me. I'm just an engineer." The alien made a sound like laughter. "Fear, good. You will make an excellent specimen for our scientists." It reached out with one of its 4 hands to grab her. Katie waited until the alien was close enough. Then she moved faster than she had ever moved in her life. She grabbed the alien's arm and used its own weight to flip it over her shoulder. The alien crashed into the wall with a sound like breaking glass. Before it could get up, Katie picked up one of its dropped weapons and shot it 3 times in the chest. The alien's crystal skin cracked and went dark. It fell to the floor and didn't move again. Katie looked at the weapon in her hands. It was warm and hummed with energy. She could hear more aliens coming down the corridor. She could hear her shipmates screaming and dying. She thought about her family back on Earth. She thought about her little sister, who looked up to her. The aliens thought they were dealing with a scared little girl. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Katy Martinez had grown up in the worst part of Chicago. She had joined the military to escape poverty and had stayed because she was good at fighting. She had spent her whole life proving that being small didn't mean being weak. She checked the alien weapon and started walking toward the sounds of battle. The aliens wanted to see what humans were made of. She was going to show them. Katie moved through the smoke-filled corridors of the Liberty. The alien weapon felt strange in her hands, but she had always been good at learning new tools quickly. She could hear the sounds of fighting coming from all directions. Her ship was being torn apart by these crystal aliens. She found 3 of her crew members hiding in a storage room. Ensign Lisa Ward was crying quietly in the corner. Danny Chun was trying to fix a broken communication device with shaking hands. Dr. Paul Brooks was bandaging a cut on his arm. "Commander Martinez," Lisa whispered when she saw Katie. "Thank God you're alive. The aliens are everywhere. They killed Sergeant Turner and his whole security team." Katie felt anger burn in her chest. Alex Turner had been a good soldier and a better friend. How many aliens are on the ship? "Maybe 20 or 30, Dr. Brooks said. "They're taking prisoners. I saw them dragging crew members toward the cargo bay." Danny looked up from his broken device. "I heard their leader talking on the radio. He called us primitive specimens. He said we were too weak to be real soldiers." Katie smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. "They think we're weak because we're small. They think I'm weak because I'm a woman." She held up the alien weapon. They're about to learn something new about humans. She looked around the storage room. It was full of spare parts and maintenance equipment. Katie had spent years learning how every system on a starship worked. An idea began to form in her mind. Lisa, you know the ship's computer systems better than anyone. Can you access the main power grid from here? Lisa wiped her eyes and nodded. Yes, ma'am, but why? Because we're going to turn this ship into a weapon. These aliens are bigger and stronger than us, but they don't know how our technology works. That's going to be their mistake. Katie began pulling equipment from the storage shelves. She found power cells, circuit breakers, and electromagnetic coils. Her hands worked quickly, connecting wires and adjusting settings. Growing up poor had taught her to make weapons from anything she could find. Danny, I need you to tap into their communication system. I want to hear everything they're saying. Danny's fingers flew over his repaired device. After a few minutes, alien voices filled the room. They were speaking in their own language, but the ship's computer translated their words. War Prime Kethver, the mammals are more fragile than expected. We have taken 30 prisoners with minimal resistance. Excellent. Have you found their leaders? We believe their war chief is the tall male on the command deck. The others are clearly non-combatants. Several appear to be spawn females, which explains their weakness. Katie's smile grew wider. The aliens thought Captain Hayes was the only real threat on the ship. They had no idea what they were dealing with. Paul, I need to know about their biology. What did you learn from the alien I killed? Dr. Brooks pulled out a small scanner. Their crystal skin is tough, but it conducts electricity very well. They have some kind of energy field around their bodies, but it seems to work like our nervous system. If you disrupt it, they get confused and slow. Perfect. Katie finished building her device. It looked like a mess of wires and batteries, but she knew it would work. This will create an electromagnetic pulse. It should scramble their energy fields and shut down their weapons. She handed the device to Lisa. When I give the signal, activate this and then override the gravity controls in Section 7. Set them to maximum reverse. That will create chaos, Lisa said. Our people will get hurt too. Our people know how to fall and get back up. These aliens have never fought in changing gravity. They don't know how to adapt. Katie checked the alien weapon one more time. Danny, patch me into the ship's communication system. I want to talk to their leader. Danny worked for a moment, then nodded. Katie spoke into the microphone. War Prime. Kethver, this is Lieutenant Commander Katie Martinez. I killed one of your soldiers. I took his weapon. Now I'm coming for the rest of you. There was silence for a moment. Then Kethver's voice came through the speakers. He sounded amused. A spawn female thinks she can challenge the Zephyrian Collective. How entertaining. I will enjoy studying your primitive courage before you die. You want to study something? Katie said, study this. She nodded to Lisa. The electromagnetic pulse device activated. Every light on the ship flickered. Through the walls, they could hear alien voices shouting in confusion as their weapons stopped working and their energy. Fields collapsed. Now, Katie said. Lisa's fingers hit the gravity controls. Suddenly, the artificial gravity in Section 7 reversed. Instead of pulling down toward the deck, it pulled up toward the ceiling. Katie heard the sounds of heavy alien bodies crashing into the ceiling and then falling back down as Lisa switched the gravity back and forth. Katie opened the storage room door and stepped into the corridor. Two aliens were stumbling around, trying to figure out what was happening to their weapons. They saw Katie and reached for backup weapons, but she was already moving. She had learned to fight in the streets of Chicago, where being small meant you had to be fast and smart. She slid between the first alien's legs and shot it in the back. The second alien tried to grab her with all four arms, but she rolled away and shot it in the head. Katie moved through the ship like a ghost. She used maintenance tunnels that were too small for the 8-foot aliens. She crawled through air vents and popped out behind enemy soldiers. She turned off lights in some sections and turned up the heat in others. making the aliens uncomfortable and confused. The aliens had been expecting to fight human soldiers who would stand and shoot like civilized warriors. Instead, they found themselves fighting someone who used every dirty trick she had ever learned. Katie would shoot them from the dark, then disappear before they could shoot back. She would make noise in one corridor to draw them away, then attack from a different direction. War Prime Kethver's voice came over the communication system again. He sounded angry now instead of amused. "What manner of creature are you? You fight without honor. You use tricks and deception." Katie spoke into a wall communicator as she rewired a power junction. "I fight to win. Your soldiers are dead because they expected me to play by your rules. I don't play by anyone's rules." She finished her work on the power junction and activated it. Suddenly, all the lights in the alien section went out. She heard them stumbling around in the dark, calling to each other in their clicking language. Katie put on night vision goggles she had taken from a security locker. Now she could see them, but they couldn't see her. She moved through the darkness like a predator, picking off alien soldiers one by one. By the time she was done with Section 7, 12 aliens were dead, and the rest were afraid to leave their groups. Katie had turned their invasion into a nightmare. They had come expecting to capture weak humans. Instead, they found themselves being hunted by something they didn't understand. Katie gathered her 3 crew members and led them toward the cargo bay, where the aliens were holding the other prisoners. It was time to show these crystal warriors what humans really fought like. Katie and her 3 crew members crept through the dark corridors toward the cargo bay. She could hear voices ahead, both human and alien. The Zephyrians were holding her people prisoner, but they sounded nervous. Word had spread through their ranks about the small human female who was killing their soldiers. "Stay behind me," Katie whispered to Lisa, Danny, and Dr. Brooks. "When the shooting starts, get our people to safety." She peered around the corner into the cargo bay. 20 human crew members sat on the floor with their hands tied. 6 aliens stood guard around them, their crystal bodies glowing in the dim light. Captain Hayes was there, along with most of the bridge crew. War Prime Kethver stood in the center of the room. He was taller than the other aliens, with darker crystal skin and more elaborate markings. He was speaking into a communication device. "Fleet Commander, the mammals are proving more troublesome than expected. One of their spawn females has killed half my boarding party." A harsh voice came from the device. "Impossible. No primitive species could challenge Zephyrian warriors." "I speak truth, Commander. This creature fights like no warrior I have ever seen. She uses their ship's systems as weapons. She strikes from shadows and vanishes before we can respond." The fleet commander's voice turned cold. "You embarrass the collective with these excuses. Deal with this female quickly. We must make an example of these mammals before we proceed to their home world." Katie felt ice in her veins. The aliens weren't just here to capture one ship. They were planning to attack Earth. Every human on the planet was in danger. She activated her communicator and spoke quietly to Danny. "Can you access the ship's main computer from here?" Danny nodded and pulled out his portable device. His fingers moved quickly over the controls. "I'm in, Commander. What do you need?" "I want you to record everything that happens in that cargo bay. Then I want you to broadcast it to every Zephyrian ship in the fleet." "Ma'am, that will let them know exactly where we are." Katie smiled grimly. "That's the point. I want them to see what happens when they threaten humanity." She looked at Dr. Brooks. "Paul, how many wounded can you treat?" "As many as we can save, Katie. But why are you asking?" "Because in about 5 minutes, there are going to be a lot of injured aliens in that room." Katie checked her weapons. She had 3 alien energy rifles now, taken from the soldiers she had killed. She also had a bag full of the improvised devices she had built from ship parts. It was time to send a message to every alien in the galaxy. Danny, start recording. Broadcast on all frequencies. Katie stepped into the cargo bay with her weapons raised. The 6 alien guards turned toward her, but she was already moving. She rolled behind a cargo container and fired 3 quick shots. 2 aliens fell, their crystal bodies cracking and going dark. The spawn female, War Prime Kethver, hissed, "You have caused enough trouble. Surrender now and your death will be quick." Katie laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "You want to see trouble? I'll show you trouble." She threw one of her improvised devices into the center of the room. It exploded with a burst of electromagnetic energy. The aliens' weapons stopped working, and their body armor began to spark and smoke. They stumbled around, confused and blind. Katie moved through the chaos like a dancer. She had learned to fight in close quarters during her time in the military. She knew how to use her small size as an advantage. She slipped between the tall aliens, shooting them in their weak spots and dodging their clumsy attacks. The human prisoners cheered as their guards fell. Captain Hayes shouted orders to his crew, telling them to take cover and help the wounded. But Katie wasn't done yet. War Prime Kethver pulled out a ceremonial sword, a long blade that glowed with blue energy. "Face me, creature. Let us end this with honor." Katie looked at the sword, then at the alien leader. "Honor? You came here to enslave my people. You threaten to attack Earth. You think humans are animals." She raised her rifle. "I don't fight with honor. I fight to win." She shot Kethver in the chest before he could swing his sword. The alien leader fell to his knees, his crystal skin cracking. But he wasn't dead yet. "How?" he gasped. "How can one small female defeat Zephyrian warriors?" Katie walked over to him. "Because you made a mistake. You saw a girl and thought that made me weak. You don't understand humans at all." She pressed her rifle against his head. "We don't fight like you do. We don't have rules about honor or proper combat. When something threatens our family, our home, our species, we become something you've never seen before." Kethver's eyes were growing dim. What are you?" "I'm Katie Martinez from Chicago, Earth. I'm an engineer, a soldier, and a human being. And I'm the last thing you're ever going to see." She pulled the trigger. War Prime Kethver fell to the floor and didn't move again. Katie turned to Danny. "Are you still broadcasting?" "Yes, ma'am. Every ship in their fleet is receiving this signal." Katie looked directly into the camera that Danny was holding. She knew that hundreds of alien commanders were watching her right now. She wanted them to see her face and remember it. "My name is Lieutenant Commander Katie Martinez of the United Earth Space Command. You came to my ship and threatened my crew. You talked about enslaving humanity and attacking our home world." She held up her rifle. "This is what happens when you threaten humans." She gestured to the dead aliens around the cargo bay. "Your warriors are dead. Your leader is dead. And this is just one small human female on one ship. Imagine what will happen when you face our entire military." Captain Hayes stepped forward. "Commander Martinez, we need to get off this ship. Their fleet will be coming for us." Katie shook her head. "No, sir, we're not running." She looked back at the camera. "I have something to show you, alien ships. You want to see what human technology can do?" She pulled out her final device, the one she had been saving. It was connected to the Liberty's main reactor. "This is a feedback loop connected to your tractor beam. When I activate it, it will send a power surge through every ship that's connected to us." The alien voices on the communication channels began shouting in panic. Katie could hear them trying to disconnect their tractor beams, but it was too late. She had already locked them into the connection. "Danny, make sure everyone in the galaxy hears this message," Katie said. She activated the device. The Liberty's reactor began to overload in a controlled way, sending massive amounts of energy back through the alien tractor beams. On the viewer, they could see the Zephyrian ships beginning to lose power. Their lights went out one by one. Katie spoke into the camera one last time. This is humanity's message to the galaxy. We are not weak, we are not primitive, and we are definitely not your slaves. If you want to fight us, you better bring everything you have, because we will never stop fighting back. The transmission ended. The alien fleet was crippled, drifting in space with dead engines and broken weapons. And every alien civilization in the galaxy had just watched a single human female destroy the most feared warrior race in known space. Katie Martinez had just changed the course of galactic history. The Zephyrian fleet drifted in space like dead metal giants. Their engines were silent, their weapons offline, their proud ships reduced to powerless hulks by Katie's feedback device. Inside the Liberty's cargo bay, the human crew worked to free their captured shipmates and tend to the wounded. Captain Hayes stood beside Katie, looking at the view screen that showed the disabled alien fleet. Commander Martinez, what you've done here will change everything, but we need to prepare for what comes next. Katie nodded, but her attention was focused on the communication channels. Alien voices filled the speakers, speaking in dozens of different languages as news of the battle spread across the galaxy. The ship's computer worked overtime, translating the flood of messages. Alert all fleets. The Zephyrian Collective has been defeated by a single primitive vessel. Impossible. The Zephyrians are the strongest warrior race in known space. We have video confirmation. One small female destroyed their entire boarding party. How can mammals be so dangerous? Dr. Brooks finished treating the last of the wounded crew members and walked over to Katie. The alien bodies are fascinating. Their crystal structure makes them incredibly strong, but it also makes them rigid. They can't adapt quickly to new situations. That's their weakness, Katie said. They've been winning battles for so long that they forgot how to deal with an enemy that doesn't fight the way they expect. Danny looked up from his communication. Station. Commander, I'm getting signals from all over the galaxy. Word about what happened here is spreading fast. Some aliens are scared, but others are curious. They want to know more about humans. Before Katie could respond, a new voice came over the speakers. It was deeper than the Zephyrian voices, with a strange musical quality. Human vessel, this is Fleet Admiral Morthic of the Galactic Council. We have observed your encounter with the Zephyrian Collective. We request immediate communication with your leaders. Captain Hayes stepped forward. This is Captain John Hayes of the United Earthship Liberty. We're prepared to talk. Captain Hayes, your species has just accomplished something that no civilization has done in over 3 centuries. The Zephyrians have been the dominant military force in this galaxy for longer than most races have existed. How did one small ship defeat their entire boarding force? Katie moved to the communication station. Admiral Morthic, this is Lieutenant Commander Katie Martinez. I was the one who fought the Zephyrians. The answer to your question is simple. They made assumptions about humans that were completely wrong. Explain. They saw our size and thought we were weak. They saw that I was female and assumed I wasn't a real warrior. They expected us to fight like civilized species, following rules of honor and proper combat. But humans don't fight that way. We fight to survive, and we use whatever works. There was a long pause. Then Admiral Morthic spoke again. Commander Martinez, the Council has been monitoring your species for several years. We were prepared to make first contact within the next decade. This incident has changed our timeline significantly. How so? Because you have just proven that. Humans are not the primitive species we believed you to be. Any race that can defeat the Zephyrians in single combat is a force that must be respected. Katie looked at Captain Hayes, who nodded for her to continue. Admiral, what does this mean? For humanity? It means your species will be invited to join the Galactic Council as a full member. It also means that every military power in the galaxy will want to study your combat methods. You have introduced a new type of warfare that no one has seen before. Danny raised his hand. Sir, I'm getting reports from Earth. Our deep space monitoring stations detected the battle. They're asking for a full report. Captain Hayes smiled grimly. Send them everything. Let Earth Command know that we've just made first contact, and it went better than anyone could have hoped. Katie walked to the main view screen and looked out at the disabled Zephyrian ships. Admiral Marthic, what's going to happen to the Zephyrian fleet? They will be allowed to repair their ships and return to their space. However, they will be required to sign a peace treaty with humanity. The Council takes a dim view of unprovoked attacks on new species, and if they refuse, then they will face the combined might of the Council fleet. Even the Zephyrians are not foolish enough to fight a war against the entire galaxy. Katie felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The immediate threat to Earth was over. But she knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had just announced itself to the galaxy in the most dramatic way possible. Over the next few hours, the Liberty's crew worked to restore their ship's systems. The Zephyrian tractor beam had caused significant damage, but nothing that couldn't be repaired. Katie spent most of her time in engineering, making sure the ship would be ready for the journey home. Dr. Brooks found her there, working on a damaged power coupling. Katie, I wanted to thank you. If you hadn't fought back, we'd all be prisoners. Right now. Katie looked up from her work. Paul, I didn't have a choice. They threatened our people, our ship, our planet. Someone had to stop them, but why you? Why not Captain Hayes or Sergeant Turner or any of the other soldiers on board? Katie was quiet for a moment. Because they saw me as harmless, a small woman in an engineer's uniform. They looked right through me and saw exactly what their prejudices told them to see. That gave me the advantage I needed. And now? Now the whole galaxy knows what humans are really like. We're not the biggest or the strongest or the most advanced. But we're survivors. We adapt. We fight with everything we have, and we never give up. Lisa Ward appeared in the doorway of the engineering section. Commander Martinez, Captain Hayes wants to see you on the bridge. We're getting a priority message from Earth. Katie made her way to the bridge, where Captain Hayes was talking to a holographic image of Admiral Rebecca Stone, the head of Earth Space Command. The Admiral was a stern woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. Commander Martinez, Admiral. Stone said when she saw Katie. I've been briefed on your actions during the alien encounter. Congratulations on a job well done. Thank you, Admiral. However, I need to inform you that your life is about to change dramatically. News of what happened here has reached Earth, and you've become something of a celebrity. The media is calling you the woman who saved humanity from alien invasion. Katie felt her stomach drop. Admiral, I was just doing my job. Perhaps. But the galaxy doesn't see it that way. You've become a symbol of human military capability. The Galactic Council has specifically requested that you be part of our diplomatic team when we make formal first contact. Captain Hayes smiled. Katie, you've just become Earth's first ambassador to the galaxy. Katie looked out at the stars through the bridge's main window. Somewhere out there, alien civilizations were talking about the small human female who had defeated the mighty Zephyrian collective. They were wondering what other surprises humanity might have in store. Admiral, Katie said, when do we start? As soon as you get home, Commander. The galaxy is waiting to meet us, and thanks to you, they're approaching us with respect instead of conquest. You've given humanity a place among the stars. Katie smiled. When she had woken up that morning, she had been a simple engineer on an exploration ship. Now she was the woman who had changed the course of human history. The aliens had looked at her and seen a harmless girl. They had learned too late that they were looking at a soldier, and now the entire galaxy would remember her name.